In this video, we will continue talking about the measures of center, in particular mode. Mode is the value that occurs most frequently. So this is the one that has the highest frequency, the one that occurs more often than the others. If two or more values are tied for the most frequent, they're both considered to be modes. Therefore, you can have data sets that have 2 modes, 3 modes, 4 modes, and so forth. But at the same time, if all the values have the same frequency, the data set has no mode. So there again, you can have no modes. And this is if all of them occur one time, or even if all of them occur 2 times. None of them occur more often than the others. The nice thing about mode that's different from mean and median is that mode can be computed for quantitative as well as qualitative data. Mean and median are strictly for quantitative data. Remember that quantitative data is data that has numbers in which you can do something with, meaning you can add, subtract, multiply, those types of things. That's quantitative data. Qualitative data is usually in the form of some type of word, or it can be numbers that you can't do anything with, such as a phone number or a zip code. Those numbers don't really do anything as far as arithmetically. And so those are considered qualitative data. So let's look at an example and compute the mode. We look at the NFL signing bonuses. So we want to find the mode of the signing bonuses. Whoops, that should be for, F-O-R, instead of F-O-F, for 8 NFL players for a specific year. The bonuses are in millions of dollars. That's significant for whenever we process and whenever we conclude our problem. So we have that one person received 18.0 million, 14.0 million, 34.5 million, 10 million, 11.3 million, 10 million, 12.4 million, and 10 million again. So when we're looking at mode, it is actually easier if we put things in order from smallest to largest, or if it's qualitative data, if we put it in order, A to Z, things like that. That way we can actually put like items together. And so in this case, if I'm looking at this, I have a 10 million, actually I have a couple of 10 millions. I have an 11.3 million. I have a 12.4 million. I have a 14.0 million. I have an 18.0 million. And I have a 34.5 million. And so when we're looking at these, I want to find the one that occurs the most often. Well, notice when they're put in order like this, it's easy to see that each one of these occurs only one time. Whereas the 10 million, it occurs 3 times. Therefore, the mode is $10 million. That is the most frequent signing bonus for these NFL players this particular year. Now let's look at another data set in which we're talking about the qualitative data. And for this one, we're going to look at the location of injury. And this data shows or represents the location of injuries that required rehabilitation by a physical therapist. And we want to determine the mode location of injury. In other words, which one's the most common and everything. So what we do here is we see that we have the back, and we have a wrist, we have an elbow. Okay, so we actually have 2 backs so far. We have 1 wrist, 1 elbow. Then we have a hip. We've got 1 of those. We have 1, 2, 3 more backs. 1, 2, 3 more backs. Then we have a shoulder. We have a knee, so that's another body part. So that takes care of this column. We have a hand, which we haven't gotten up here yet. We also have a groin. Then we're back to a back, a shoulder, and a hip. We have a neck. We have another shoulder. We have another back, a knee, and another hand. Then in the 5th column, we have a knee and a shoulder, another back, another knee, and another back. Then in the last column, we have a knee and 1, 2, 3 more backs. So 1, 2, 3 more backs and a wrist. So what I've done here is I've gone through and done tallies for each type of injury. And this way I can say that the back we had 12, the wrist we had 2, elbow we had 2, or I'm sorry, the elbow actually we only had 1. So let me replace that with a 1. The hip we had 2. The shoulder we had 4. The knee we had 5. The hand we had 2. Groin we had 1. And neck we had 1. And if I added all of these up, it should be the exact same as how many I have here, how many data points, which would be 30. Now looking at that, obviously back is the most frequent. So the mode location of injury is the back with 12 instances. And therefore we've calculated the back, or I'm sorry, we've calculated the mode for both the quantitative data as well as the qualitative data. Now mode is not used very often when we're talking about measures of center, but we do use it some, especially when we're talking about qualitative data. So what I want you to do is I want you to work on mode and then ask if you have any questions.